our special program today, we ask wherever you are, please stand for prayer. Surely I have turned myself to thee, O Allah, trying to be upright, to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheist. Surely my prayer and my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, and this I am commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all of my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me unto the best of morals, for none guides unto the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, bless Muhammad and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou didst bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. O Allah, make Muhammad successful and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou didst make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and magnified. Ameen. Please be seated, brothers and sisters. Again, Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet each of you, my dear brothers and beloved sisters, in the greeting words of peace. We said in our original tongue, our original language of Arabic, Assalamu alaikum. How you doing this morning? All praise is due to Allah. You look good this morning. It's good to see your smiling faces. And we hope that today's program, if you're feeling a little heavy, a little low, a little burdened, that Allah will lift your and our spirits today. We have a wonderful program for you. You know, if you don't know, we have with us today student minister Nuri Muhammad. We are so happy that he is going to be our keynote presenter this morning. All praise is due to Allah. But before we bring before you our keynote speaker and key message today, we also have some very wonderful brothers that are in the city that we will introduce to you in just a short moment. Firstly, for those who are new, and it may be your first or second time, and oftentimes when people arrive here at the Nation of Islam or a study group abroad, you know, things seem a little different. It may even seem a little strange, the greetings of peace. You know, these greetings are very special words. This greeting is not like saying hello. It's not like saying hi. It's definitely not like saying what's up and what's going down. We know the world of Satan is going down. That's clear from what the minister has delivered in 58 weeks in the time and what must be done. But we also know what is coming up is the kingdom of Allah God, the kingdom of righteousness and the oppressed across the planet. So this greeting that you heard us share with you this morning is really similar to what Jesus would have shared 2,000 years ago. The scriptures teach us that he didn't come in the room amongst his followers and the disciples and say hello because Jesus did not speak English. We are taught and we know that he may have spoken ancient Aramaic, Hebrew, or even Arabic, so he may have said Shalom Alaikum, or he may have said Assalamu Alaikum. Now, some people right now may be a little confused of why a Muslim would even mention Jesus' name, because we can't even be Muslims unless we believe in Jesus. And not only are we believing in Jesus, we're trying to live Jesus every day of our lives. All praise is due to Allah. Well, how, Brother Jason, can you say that you not only believe in Jesus and you all try to live Jesus, because there's a man like Jesus in our midst? And I can't be that which I've never seen before, never experienced before. I've been touched by Jesus and I got to bear witness. I've been awakened and we have been awakened by Jesus. We have to bear witness. Our eyes have been opened, our ears unplugged. When we were sitting down doing nothing, he stood us up and gave us purpose by Allah's permission. So today we have some good news to share with you. And although the world may be recognizing this one day as Mother's Day, we are taught that every day is Mother's Day. Because unless we recognize, elevate, protect our women, the female, then we will be relegated to one day to remind us of what we should be doing every day of the year. Brothers and sisters, not only this greeting word of peace that we introduced to some and reminded many, it means peace be unto you. It is a sincere prayer that whatever we say or do today, we don't intend to break your peace. And when we prayed, we turned ourselves in a particular direction. That may seem strange, that we would turn ourselves to face the east, but we have been taught that the many prophets and messengers of God have been raised in the east. We also are taught that divine revelation and wisdom and the will and way of God has been shared and revealed in the east. But I thank Allah that he would see fit to come from the east unto the west to a group of people who were like dry bones in a valley. We thank Allah this morning for coming. He comes under many titles, but in the scriptures it says that the Son of Man would come from the east unto the west. And he would come to a people who are described as a carcass. See, the remains of that which was once alive. The good news today is that God is not to come, but God is present in the world. All praise is due to Allah. So brothers and sisters, whether we say Allah, whether you may say God, we're one family under the belief in one God. Whether you say Jehovah or Elohim or Yahweh, let us not be divided by our enemy anymore. That is the beauty of the Messiah's present in the world today. He's a great unifier under the truth of God. So today, brothers and sisters, you will be enlightened. And as we mentioned, if you came in heavy, you're going to be lifted. If you came in with confusion, that will be eradicated. If you came in not having the quality and the value for the female, as we should, both male and female for herself, today, that's going to be transformed. We're so happy that you have joined us. And again, we welcome you on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. Thank you for being with us this morning. Today, brothers and sisters, we have a wonderful program for you and I would like to first bring to the rostrum to share words this morning a student in the ministry class. She will be a graduate of Muhammad University of Islam this July. Please help me to receive Sister Kenya Muhammad.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I further bear witness that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his messenger Messiah, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is their divine reminder, servant, and warner among us. It is in their names that I greet you all in the greeting words of peace and paradise. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. To the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his student minister, Brother Ishmael Muhammad, I would like to thank them both for giving me this opportunity to speak before you all today. It is always my pleasure and my honor. I would like to start with a quote from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which comes from a lecture that he gave a year ago entitled The Priceless Value of the Woman. And it's a really beautiful quote. He says, "Next to God, the most magnificent creature is called mother. When you combine God and mother, you have a future. Without God, you can't possibly be the type of mother that you want to be, need to be, and must be." Now, this quote is so beautiful to me because it recognizes such a supreme value that is in the woman. So he says, when you combine God and mother, you have a future. Well, how? To go deeper into that, another lecture that he gave, he stated, "Almighty God created everything out of the dark womb of space everything. And he gives you a womb that resembles the darkness of space out of which everything is created. Man doesn't have a womb. It's you, woman. And what is your womb for? Your womb is the workshop of God. So when you look at every great one that came, that's the end of the quote. When you look at every great one that came and is present, so everyone that you think is great, every powerful one, they are the product of God and mother working together to create. And at this time, I would like to thank a mother by the name of Sister Samaya for being such a wonderful co-creator with God and helping to produce a man whose heart is so loving, whose mind is so spiritual and fixed on the resurrection of God's people, whose spirit is that which comes from God himself. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, all praises due to Allah, makes 81 years old today. And we thank, praise be to Allah. And we thank his mother for being an example to us all of a strong black woman who instilled discipline and character and love into her son. We thank Allah for her. All praises due to Allah. Allahu Akbar. So praise be to Allah for her. But everyone is a product of God and man and woman working together. There would be no man besides God himself were it not for the woman. And even when you look at the beauty of creation and everything that you can think of that sparked from a brilliant idea, were it not for the woman, that would not be. He also said in the lecture mentioned, the first lecture that I mentioned, you are sacred. You are the sacred vessel of God himself. He uses your womb to produce all the greatness that ever came onto this planet. That's how sacred your womb is. I'm just going to repeat that because that is really big. Minister Louis Farrakhan says he uses your womb to produce all the greatness that ever came onto this planet. That's how sacred your womb is. And that is why we're taught as Muslims to honor our mothers every single day of the year, not just one day. And even in the hadith, praise be to Allah. In the hadiths, we're taught that Prophet Muhammad said, and this is not quoting, but he was asked, who should we honor after God? And so his first response was mother. And then they asked again, well, who after mother? And his response again was your mother. And so he said, you should honor your mother 3 times after God, and then came your father. Her value is so great that every time we're in the presence of mothers, or even future mothers, we should honor them and show the highest form of respect. And so I pray Allah blesses us all to see more value in our mothers as this world lists this day to honor and recognize mother. Let us be found doing what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us, that the woman should be honored, revered, and recognized every day of the year. Thank you all for listening. Assalamu alaikum.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you, Sister Kenya. What a beautiful day we have today, that Allah would bless us with another opportunity to live this life and try to live it better. Today, brothers and sisters, we have in the city quite a few special individuals, but today in our city for a very special program that took place yesterday at our beautiful Salam restaurant, the Testimony of Extraordinary Women, where we honored some of the great women who have been a part of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's life. So Minister Ishmael Muhammad wanted them to share just a few words with each of us this morning. So I want to bring before you a brother that many of us, we really appreciate what he has done in getting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan really across the world via Twitter. Is that right? And he is known for coordinating this magnificent Twitter army that you hear the minister mention quite frequently when he comes before us. We want to bring to this rostrum at this time with a warm round of applause. Please bring before us Brother Jesse Muhammad.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet my beloved brothers and sisters with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. First, let me humbly thank our beautiful teacher, our beautiful God, our divine reminder, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, for this blessed opportunity to serve. For it's a beautiful thing to have a man in our midst that is the ultimate example of what God's heart really looks like. And I can never thank Allah enough for him allowing me to serve in any capacity that I can in this nation. And I thank Allah for the womb that brought this man forth today, that we can have such a jewel of sacrifice, dedication, and love. And I pray to Allah that we will all dedicate ourselves continuously to not just say I love you with our lips to this man, but show it in our works. And I also would like to thank Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad and his wonderful staff here at our headquarters for this opportunity to be before you this morning. And I thank you all for your sacrifice, for I'm being fed thoroughly by these sons of thunder, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan via webcast, so I'm honored to be on this rostrum today. Quickly, brothers and sisters, I want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the 58-week series, The Time and What Must Be Done. I don't know about you, but my laptop became an operating table where the minister was performing open eye, open heart, open soul, open mind surgery on me every Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it was such a blessing to witness him and see what the research team did to put together a 1 hour and sometimes 1 hour and a half broadcast just to feed us. So as we say in Dianetics, what we must do? We need to go to youtube.com/FCNN and we need to go back to the beginning, go over it again, pick up whatever additional data you can contact. I don't think you heard me. We need to go back to the beginning, go over it again, pick up whatever additional data we can contact. Because there's no way you and I got all of that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan dropped on us in 58 weeks. All praise is due to Allah. So that's why I'm so excited to be a part of the greatest digital army that has ever been resurrected in the history of the internet and social media. And that is the Farrakhan Twitter army. And that's why we have decided to go back the past 9 weeks to start rediscussing and retweeting every broadcast of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because why? Many people have missed it. So I hope you will join us in doing that. Now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I stand here as a witness, has answered nearly 4,000 questions via Twitter and via Facebook to feed us. And in this book, Message to the Black Man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes that a man by the name of Henry Berry in 1832 at the Virginia House of Delegates, he had applauded and cheered that they had, far as possible, had cut off every avenue by which light could enter the mind of the slaves. Well, I'm here to tell Mr. Berry, you didn't calculate on Farrakhan. Because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, all the way from audio tapes up to Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, is now using every avenue by which the slave does not have any excuse that light can enter their mind. So with this Twitter book, if you just open it, and like they say in the church, it's like the daily bread. If you open this book, any facet of life, any problem you may be facing, anything that's disturbing you, I guarantee you, if you open this book, you'll find the answer. Let me give you an example. Minister Farrakhan was asked this question: how do I conquer fear? It's a powerful force in my life holding me back. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan answered, it is natural to fear what you don't know or understand. But fear must be challenged and overcome. How? When God met Moses in the burning bush, God gave Moses a command. Fear choked Moses. Moses tried to put up excuses to keep from following God's command. But when God took away his excuses, Moses then had to challenge his fear. And every time Moses challenged his fear and overcame it, his trust in God grew until he recognized, like David, the Lord is my strength, and he is my salvation. Whom then shall I fear, and of whom then shall I be afraid? Now, who do you know is dropping jewels like this on Twitter but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? So you have to get the Teachers 2.0 Twitter book, and I thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for these jewels on social media. And as I close, after witnessing that extraordinary panel on yesterday at Salon Restaurant, I was reminded of my first time having dinner with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which I recounted in the introduction of this book. And the minister looked over at me, and I was nervous as all get out. I have to be honest. And he posed this question to me. He said, "Brother, when did we start in the Nation of Islam asking permission to be a witness of a man that raised us from the dead?" And I said, "I don't know, dear Apostle." He said, "That's the problem now, all of these quiet ones. I'm surrounded by too many weak witnesses." He's not just talking about those that hold security or those in leadership. He's talking to you and me. All praise is due to Allah. And then he said, "From now on, brother, you don't ask permission to be a witness." So I say, believers, let's stand up and get on the witness stand, not here just on the rostrum, but in those streets, in those schools, in the hoods, and let's testify what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has done for us in our lives. May Allah continue to bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
All praises due to Allah. Wonderful, wonderful testimony this morning, where we want someone else to come and testify, to bear witness to the beauty of Allah's presence among us today. Brothers and sisters, please help me to receive another brother visiting us from out of town. He's coming all the way from New Orleans, often known as Nolans, right? Please help me to receive with a warm round of applause, Student Minister Willie Muhammad.
In the most holy name of Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, we thank Almighty God Allah for his coming, and we thank Almighty God Allah for raising up in our midst the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, his exalted Christ. And I also thank them for leaving in our midst the beloved of God, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in those names, I would like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum. Dear brothers and sisters, all of us who speak from this rostrum today, in some way, shape, or form, are here to bear witness about a man who has a pure heart. And that man who has a pure heart, I'm talking about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now, some may hear me say that and say, "Well, Brother Willie, how do you know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has a pure heart? You're away in New Orleans. You don't see him every day." But for those who would say that or think that, I will only refer to this scripture that's found in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 8. It says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." It doesn't say that they may see God. It says that they will see God. So I know that the heart of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is pure because I have seen him travel this earth teaching a people who the world has written off as irredeemable, who the scientists have written off as not being able to be brought back to life. He's teaching the world and those people that God exists in them. He's able to see God in them because of the quality of his heart. Is that right? And he's not only, he just doesn't stop there, that just saying that they have God in them, but he's also making them realize and helping us to realize that God exists in them. You know, the scripture says that with God all things are possible. Is that right? Many of our young brothers and sisters here in Chicago, in LA, in New Orleans, in Houston, different places around the country, brothers and sisters are trapped in the street life. They don't think that they can give up that street activity. But the reason why they don't think that they can give up that street activity is because they have not been connected to the true God. And not only have they not been connected to the true God, they have not been connected to the God that exists in them. So the scripture says, how can you say you love God whom you have never seen, but hate your brother and your sister who you see every day? So someone has to connect them to God within. And when you connect a human being to the God within, you help connect them to the power that we need to change our lives. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is connecting us to the source of what we need to change our lives. There's no problem that you may be facing right now, that I may be facing right now, that we don't have the ability to change. Is that right? All praise is due to Allah. So listen, I'm going to close with this testimony to show you the power of what happens when one is connected to God, to show you the power of what happens when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan connects one to the God within themselves. Back home in our city, in Mosque number 46 in New Orleans, Louisiana, there's a brother in our mosque who in the early 90s, mid-90s, in the section of the city, he was the big dope dealer. And he was much more than a dope dealer and did many other things that street life calls for. But one day while driving past our mosque, someone invited him to come to the mosque. And he came into our mosque and he heard a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. To show you how powerful the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is, he heard a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And he heard this student share with what he heard from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the message resonated with this brother so much that he left that meeting that day and returned to his house and flushed a kilo of cocaine down the toilet. All praises due to Allah. And from that time on, he left the street life. This brother was illiterate. Now he taught himself how to read, and now he's reading books and doing poetry off the top of his mind. But he's able to do that because he was connected to a man who has a pure heart and a man who's able to help others see God in themselves. See, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan embodies that scripture that says he looked past their faults and saw their needs. So when you and I look past our faults and see our needs, we will find God. And when we address the need, we will take care of the fault because it's the unfulfilled need that's causing the fault. So you don't have to look back 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. We have a man that's in our midst right now. And if we connect ourselves to him, there's nothing that you and I can do. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you.
Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. What a wonderful morning, brothers and sisters. It is my honor at this time to bring before you the brother, our friend, and our student minister here at MOSQUE MARYAM to introduce our keynote presenter. You know him, we love him. He teaches just about every Sunday when we are blessed to have him in the city, but he's always constantly helping his teacher all over the country. Please help me to receive with a warm round of applause the Student National Assistant Minister to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Brother Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his many blessings, his many gifts, his goodness, his mercy to the human family, that whenever any member of this family strays or falls from God's straight path and loses favor with God, out of Almighty God, Allah's mercy, he always raises up one from the people to lead, to teach, and to guide. We are introduced to these guides or servants in the Bible and Quran. They're called messengers or prophets. And their role and duty is to uplift fallen man or fallen humanity. We thank Allah for Abraham. We thank him for Moses. We thank him for Jesus, and we thank him for Muhammad. Peace be upon these worthy servants. As a student and follower of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I could never thank Allah enough for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi, who came among us and raised one from the black man of America to be his messenger, Messiah. That man is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I would be remiss in my duty if God blesses me to live to see tomorrow, live to see 100 years of age or 1,000 years. It makes no difference. I just want to be found thanking Allah for his mercy, and I thank him for the man who is in our midst today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet all of you with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. Well, my dear brothers and sisters, today it's called what? Mother's Day? Well, it's kind of a shame if we waited 364 days to say Happy Mother's Day and to give Mom a well-deserved token of our deep love and appreciation for giving us life. And there is nothing, dear brothers, that we could give to our women that could repay them for the great sacrifice that they make to bring our children into the world. So we say today on this occasion, Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers in the audience and all of those, Allah willing, that will become mothers. Happy, happy Mother's Day. Now, you know, before the fall of man and the introduction of European civilization, the Caucasian rule, we knew how to honor the woman. There was no such thing as us taking one day out of the year to honor mother. We honored our women and protected our women and respected our women, and we knew the extreme value and sacredness of the female before the fall of man. So now we have to be retaught on the extreme and limitless value of the female. This day, May 11th, is a special day, a very special day. We, as Muslim followers, we don't celebrate birthdays. But this day, May 11th, 81 years ago, in 1933, a child was born, and a son of the liberation struggle was given. A voice for the voiceless and a defender for the defenseless in society. He's a Prince of Peace, working under a mighty God and an everlasting Father. That child and that son is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Yes. It seems too cheap to say happy birthday, Brother Minister. But yes, happy are we that Allah gave birth to this matchless human being. He was shaped by God in the womb of his blessed mother. May Allah always be pleased with the mother of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Mother Samaya Farrakhan. Allah knew him before he was born. He called him into existence. Don't worry, Brother Nuri, I'm not stealing your thunder. I was supposed to be preaching in another city today, but on this special occasion, since that had to be rescheduled, I just wanted to share a few words in introducing our beautiful brother today. And since this is May 11th, this wonderful, beautiful human being, Minister Louis Farrakhan, was made for you, made for me, made for us. He was made to be the great, matchless helper of the Messiah, the Christ, in the liberation of the oppressed on our planet. And he was made to end the civilization of Satan. I'm going to say that again. He was made to put an end to Satan's world, operating under the power and unequaled guidance of the Christ, who is a mighty God and is an everlasting Father. So I just thought that since all of us are grateful for this day, that I can be one of the first to express my extreme gratitude and appreciation to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and to his lovely and beautiful wife, Mother Khadija Farrakhan, for her devotion, dedication. She is the wind beneath his wings, and we would not be here today if it were not for the sacrifice and love of Mother Khadija Farrakhan. Now, I'm getting off, Brother Nuri. What you will hear today, dear brothers and sisters, is an important, indispensable, essential aspect to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his servant, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, teach us that the most important knowledge that you and I could gain is a knowledge of God and a knowledge of self. But you can't think about getting a knowledge of God and not get a knowledge of the female. There is no, listen to me good, there is no black teacher or white teacher or otherwise, no black or white leader on the scene today or yesterday that has taught more about the value and sacredness of the female than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his teacher Elijah Muhammad. That's a fact. No black man taught us as black men how to love and honor and respect our women more than Elijah Muhammad. It was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that taught us that a nation can rise no higher than its woman. So you can't talk about building a new world, bringing in a new world, improving the conditions of our community, bettering our conditions without putting and talking about the female and bringing the woman into the equation. There won't be a new heaven and a new earth without the woman. There won't be a new world without the woman. And if you just take that one aspect of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you will know when you hear and listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan just how he lifts up the woman, that he is a man of God. His divinity is found in how he has been blessed to teach us of the nature of the female. Again, there is no teacher on the planet. In fact, about it, I'll take it further. No prophet or messenger in the Bible or in the Quran has ever taught man about the nature of the female and her relationship to the Creator other than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And to take us further into the sacredness of the female, the limitless value of the female, her immeasurable value, her beauty, is our dear brother from Mosque number 74 from Indianapolis, Indiana. We love this brother and appreciate the great work that he's doing on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Help me to receive our student minister from Indianapolis, Indiana. Let us receive him with a warm round of applause. Student Minister Nuri Muhammad.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. All praise are due to Allah. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah who intervened in our affairs in the form of a well-made man named Master Farad Muhammad. We thank him for traveling 9,000 miles. We thank him for leaving paradise to come and seek and save a people that have been hit in the head and left for dead. We appreciate the pattern of God in the past where he found a people that fell from power and success and raised from among that people a messenger, warner, or a prophet. But we also appreciate the fact that God looked at the black man and woman of North America and recognized that the hell we caught in the wilderness of North America was so great and grievous that he would have to come and seek and save us himself. And we bear witness that he did this in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. We thank him for coming among us and raising up in our midst his messenger Messiah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And today, it just so happened that 81 years ago, on this very day, Allah God, the Supreme Being, used the womb of Mother Sumaya Farrakhan as a sacred chamber, as his laboratory, to bring birth to a man that is a savior for you and me, and that man is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All praises are due to Allah. It is in their holy and their righteous name that I greet you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Well, just as he always does every week from this rostrum, that great son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad by blood, son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad by spirit, and without question, son of Farrakhan by spirit, student minister Ishmael Muhammad said what we needed to hear today. We thank Allah for his great representation. And I would say, all I got left to say is that how many of you believe that what you heard today to be true?
And it's, huh? Now we're going to keep moving, but I do want to say this, that Satan, you in trouble. Because of what I heard today from these sons of thunder, you in big trouble. You can write in your Chicago sometimes. I mean sometimes. No, I said it right sometimes, because sometimes they lie and sometimes they tell the truth. We are watching you, Satan. You are on a death watch of Farrakhan. But we serve notice to you today, there is no death for Farrakhan. You will never be able to kill the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he's deposited himself in too many soldiers around the world that are committed to make sure that his word and way is made manifest. All praises are due to Allah. So what I hear Student Minister Ishmael, I say energy is constant, it just changes forms. When I hear from Brother Mustafa Farrakhan, I say energy is constant, it just changes forms. Whoever you hear that comes from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we are being fed by an MP3, a YouTube clip, a DVD, a CD, or maybe even a VHS or an audio cassette. Some even go back reel to reel and 8-track, but we've been fed by Farrakhan. And now Farrakhan is in us. And even when he's physically gone, you will never be able to get rid of him, because we're going to make sure that he in fact lives. All praises are due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. I wanted to say before we began, as we look at this great and wonderful day, many of us woke up this morning with tears in our eyes, thinking about the beauty of this man, Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we thank Allah, and we want to thank the Farrakhan family. We thank you, Sister Betsy Jean. We thank you, Sister Fatima. We thank you, Sister Donna. We thank you, Sister Maria, Sister Kaladay. We thank you, Brother Joshua. We thank you, Brother Mustafa. We thank you, Brother Abnar. We thank you for sharing your father with us, because it is because you were willing to sacrifice your blood, your biological and spiritual father, that we could have a father, that we have been nursed and developed. We thank you, Louis Jr., for sacrificing your father, that we too could have somebody to father us. And we want to send a special token of gratitude, not only to the children, but to that great mother that produced those children. We know that if it were not for the love and the support that Mother Khadija Farrakhan has given to her husband for over 60 years, we wouldn't have him like he is, in the shape he is, in the form he is, that we can become the people that we are becoming. Thank you so much, Mother Khadija Farrakhan, for your sacrifice of this beautiful, noble man, that we could have someone to lead, to teach, and to guide us. This day is called by the enemy Mother's Day. It is a day where Hallmark, Flower-Rama, and the Pancake House makes billions of dollars off of our love for our mother. They have always figured out a way to profit or channel the love that we have for our mother, father, spouse, into profit for themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with us loving our mothers. There's nothing wrong with us showing honor to our mothers. There's nothing wrong with us getting gifts for our mothers. But what's wrong is for us to do it only one day out of the year. What's wrong for us is to think that the best gift we could give is some cheap bouquet or some pancake brunch or some Hallmark card. No, the best gift we can give to our mothers on Mother's Day is to be a gift ourselves and do what it is that they have been trying to get us to do ever since they brought us into the world. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that every day is Mother's Day. That the righteous do not honor their mother or their father one day a week, but we honor them every day that we live. And the Holy Quran and Bible back him up, don't it? It tells us to honor your mother and father in the Bible. The Holy Quran says it like this: reverence the womb that bore you. And there is no parentheses next to it. There is no footnote at the bottom that says to honor mother and father, that your days might be long on earth on the second Sunday in May. Or reverence the womb of your mother on the second Sunday of May. So every day should be a day where we show love for the mother of civilization. So today, sisters, whether or not you have brought birth to a son or a daughter, we've been taught by the master teacher, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, you are a mother whether you got a child or not. Because you are the mother of all art, you are the mother of all science, and you are the mother of civilization. All praises are due to Allah. Today we would like to take up for our subject. The subject is titled The Woman, God's Second Self. Now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has made an assessment of the state of the condition of the planet that we live on. And he said, after looking at the shape and condition, his diagnosis was that the reason that the earth and the world is in the condition that it is in is because of its disrespect of woman. Did you hear me? Then he said this, asking himself a hypothetical question. He said, what's wrong with the world? He said, what's wrong with the world is that there are no strong men. So if we marry these two axioms or principles or diagnosis from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we live in a world that is in the shape and condition that it is in because of the disrespect of women. And the disrespect of women is the byproduct of there being too many weak men walking the face of the earth. Right now, did you know, black woman, and did you know, black man, that there are more black males born than there are black females? But by the time the two reach the age 18, black females outnumber black males 7-1, which means that the black male is dying at the rate of an endangered species. When you factor in not only homicide, but you factor in incarceration, when you factor in drug dealing and drug using, and then when you factor in that segment of black male population that doesn't even want a woman, then it makes it very hard. I said that segment of the population that does not want. Y'all, you know what I'm talking about. They're not interested in brotherly love. They want some otherly love. Y'all understand what I'm trying to say? And by the time we compute homosexuality, homicide, suicide, drug dealing, drug using, incarceration, there's a very slim possibility for you as a black woman to find yourself a good black man. But we got news for you today. In order to be a man, you got to meet a man. And those of us that are followers of Farrakhan, they wear the title FOI, the fruit of Islam, the name given to the military training of the men who belong to Islam in North America. We are in a man-making machine, being made into a real father, a real husband, a real maintainer, a real protector, and a real provider for you, black woman. And we know that as soon as that black man stands up and becomes himself, because you as the female are his natural reflector, it's only a matter of time before the woman that has a stress-free existence, when that woman has a situation where she has her needs cared for, then every time she lays down to bring birth to a new child, there won't be an average child born. There won't be a mediocre child born. There won't be a good child born. There'll be a God coming forth from the womb of that woman when she is properly taken care of. All praises are due to Allah. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that there is no such thing as a no good woman. You didn't hear what I just said. There is no such thing as a no good woman. Any no good woman was made that way by a no good man. Did y'all hear me? Then he cross-referenced it with another principle. He said, where there are no decent women, there are no decent men. For the mother is the first teacher. Y'all still with me? Well, when you put these two principles together, yes, as a female, you could say there is no such thing as a no good woman, and if there is one, she was made that way by a no good man. But on the flip side of the coin, where there are no decent women, there are no decent men. So when a no good man comes to you, trying to run a game on you, it is your duty, it is your obligation to have your spiritual search procedure going up in your mind. Did you hear me? And just like it was when you came to the mosque doors today, there was a sister out there, wasn't it? Huh, sisters? Was there a brother out there? And that brother wanted to know, he told you what? Take everything out your pocket except loose change and dollar bills. Is that right? That sister wanted you to take everything out except for the loose change and the dollar bills. And then she began to search you, right? To see if there was any weapon that you were going to bring into the temple that could violate the sacredness of this said environment. Well, you have to have that kind of security as a woman when a no good man comes your way. Did you hear me? When that man shows up trying to crack on you, trying to hit on you, trying to get you, you got to stop that brother and engage in a search procedure before you let that man into your life. And you want to know, do you have any weapons on you? Do you have anything in your head or in your heart that's going to injure the sacred temple of God? And if I find that weapon in your teaching, in your thinking, in your way, I got to holler check one. And we're going to escort you back to your vehicle or put that in the trunk and come correct on the next batch. Are y'all with me? So Jesus said it like this. It's not what goes in a person that defileth them, but what comes out. Meaning it's not necessarily what happens to you, but how you respond to it. So as a woman, yes, there is no such thing as a no good woman, except she was made that way by a no good man. But you got to be on point. You got to be sharp. You got to have focus and determination. You got to know what a real man looks like and be able to recognize game when game is showing up, that you be not the victim of a no good man. All praise is due to Allah. Don't we always give you a rose to show you how much we love you? Right? Well, one of the things a rose has on it is some thorns. Did y'all hear me? Well, sometimes you got to be like that rose. In fact, there's a lot in common with women and the rose. Did you hear me? In order for a rose to grow, it has to have a full day of sunlight. Transfer that into happiness and joy. In order for a woman to grow, she has to have a raised soil bed. Likewise, in order for women to grow, men have to exalt the woman. The rose also must be planted in a way that it's not in competition with other flowers, so that the roots from other flowers will wrap around it and choke out its life. So it is with our women. You can't grow if you're always thinking about him looking at somebody or some other woman. You got to be planted in a way that you are secure if you want to grow properly. All praise is due to Allah. But you got to have you some good thorns. Because if somebody want to handle that rose and they want to handle it without thought, without having a good plan before they grab the rose, and they half-heartedly just reach it, they're going to get stuck with the rose. Well, so it is, black woman. You got to be like that when a man's trying to grab you. He got to meet a point to keep that no good man away from you. All praises are due to Allah. However, it is important, brothers and sisters, especially sisters, that as you began to calculate the no good man, that we don't leave and stop at a sick father or a crazy uncle or a game-running boyfriend from the past that is the cause of why we are not what we should be. Because the real no good man was not the ex-boyfriend or the father or the uncle. The real no good man that messed us up was the slave trader, the slave makers, and the slave masters. The white man was the no good man that messed up the black woman. All praise is due to Allah. When they first got us, brothers and sisters, in Africa, and they showed up to kidnap us, they killed an estimate 13 million on the shores of Africa. Then when we got put on the slave ship, coming across from Africa to America, a 9,000-mile journey that took around 3 months for us to complete. They, on this journey, killed so many of us that the math says 100 to 200 million of us lost our lives. Then when we landed in America, they killed off another 83 million of us on the shores of America within the first 3 months. And in a book, Return to Sender, when they began to study and calculate who the slave master was killing, come to find out when we came here, the number one people that they killed among us was the fathers and the mothers. Killed off all the adults, sparing the children to be raised by them. You didn't hear me. In the foster care system, you got foster parents that don't want to adopt a child because they want to nurture a child. They don't get the child because they want to love the child and make the child their own. They get the child because they know that there's a check coming from the government. And if they adopt the child and get 5 or 10 in the house, then they'll be able to make X amount of dollars. Well, when the slave master kidnapped us, he didn't kidnap us to be good foster parents. He kidnapped us so that we could be made slaves to make him rich in America, that he can make money off of you and me. Well, when they got us, after they killed off all of the adults, they went to work at the destruction of father, mother, and the relationship with child. Those that they left in Africa among our people, they made sure that when they went in Africa, that they went to work at destroying all images that showed the black man and the black woman in unity with one another. Because they knew then and know now that our power base is whenever we are cooperating one with another. So Napoleon and his army, when they went into Africa, he was hired to destroy all positive black images that existed in Africa so that the children that lived there and you and me coming forth later would not be able to see black and power mixed together. So when he went, he destroyed all the original images of the prophets that look like you and me. All the original images of Jesus that look like you and me. You didn't hear what I just said. Abraham was a black man. The Bible says that Abraham, when he was in Egypt, he was mistaken for being an Egyptian. Well, the word Egypt is in Greek Ieptis, meaning land of black and burnt skinned people. Well, in order for Abraham to be mistaken as an Egyptian, he must have been black and burnt skin. Moses was a black man. It said that when he stuck his hand into the bosom of the Lord and took it out, it was turned white. Well, in order for it to be turned white, it had to go in black. Solomon said, I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. Is that right? Well, if Solomon is the son of David, then David had to be black too. David said, or Jesus said, I am of the root and the offspring of David. Well, if Solomon was of the root of David and he was black, and Jesus is of the offspring of David, then he must be black too. That's the reason why when they were hiding Jesus, they didn't send him to Italy. They didn't send him to France. He didn't go to Ireland. He didn't go to England. When the angel came and told them how to hide Jesus, they said, rent a fast camel and flee into Egypt. Well, if Egypt is the land of black and burnt skinned people, and another word for hide is camouflage. When you're camouflaging, you're blending in with the color of the environment. So if the army's in the desert, they're wearing beige because it matches the color of the sand. When they're in the jungle, they wear green because it matches the color of the wilderness. When they're in the snow, they wear white. When they're on the night mission, they wear black. Well, if Jesus was among a bunch of dark and black-skinned people and did not get caught, he had to look just like them. He was a black man like you and me. Oh, praises are due to Allah. Oh, praise is due to Allah. So they went to Africa, and they made sure that all of the Last Supper pictures didn't have black people no more. All the angels were painted white. And the picture we have of Jesus today is not the real picture of Jesus. That's Michelangelo's cousin. The picture that you see of Mary is not the real mother of Jesus. That's Michelangelo's mother. Did you hear me? If Mary was an Egyptian woman, she had to be black too. They didn't want us to know that he was black like us, because they know that as soon as you find something in common with a thing, you start to compare yourself to it. And when you start to compare yourself to a thing, it produces the goal to be like the thing. That goal feeds your desire. That desire becomes food for your will, and your will makes you become whatever you're looking at. And the last thing that they ever wanted was to see you and me striving to be like Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Whenever Napoleon went over there, he trained his cannons on the Sphinx at the base of the Great Pyramid Giza. Still to this day, one of the known wonders of the world, because white people wonder how we built it. Here it is, the Pyramid Giza, 451 feet tall, 451 feet deep, covering 13.5 acres, made of 1,003.5 ton blocks of gold and granite, stacked mathematically precise, not even deviating 1 square inch. And we built it without a bulldozer, without a crane, without cat equipment. We built it without John Deere and them. We built it with the power of the original man's telepathic, kinesthetic mind. And we used the energy of our mind to make it land like it needed to land. So they didn't want us to know. And then after we built it, we put at the base of it the Sphinx, a body of a lion with the head of a black man on it. How do you know it was a black man? Because Napoleon trained his cannons and blew out the nose and the lips. Because he used to have some thick lips like black people's lips, and a big broad nose like a black man's nose. And written underneath it was the Arabic words Abu el-Haw, meaning in English, father of everything. And they knew that, wait a minute, if I can show the head of a black man on the body of a lion, there's something in learning called image association. Meaning that if I look at a thing and I see a lion who in my mind is the king of the jungle, and my head is on the body of the king of the jungle, then maybe I'm the king of the planet. Maybe I'm the king of the universe. Maybe I'm the builder of civilization. All praise is due to Allah. And whenever a black man and woman thinks that of themselves, they feel too dignified to reach down for alcohol, too dignified to reach down for weed, too dignified to reach down for some lean. Last thing you want is to be leaning whenever you are supposed to be on the upright perpendicular. Last thing you want is some weed in your system. When weed goes into a garden, don't it choke out the life of what you're trying to grow? Well, when we went to school before we started first grade, didn't we go to something called kindergarten, which is German for kind of a garden? telling us that our brain is a kind of a garden. So when we smoke weed, the THC that we are inhaling from the weed is going into our brain, and it does what a weed does. It chokes out the life of those good dreams, those good thoughts, those good visions, those good plans that you have for your own life. Oh, praise is due to Allah. Do you know that when weed goes into the system? I was in the grocery store one time and in the hood, and I was in the back, and I guess they wasn't paying the brother enough, because while I was shopping, he came and said, hey, my guy, you trying to get some of that kill? I was like, no, sir, I was looking for some romaine lettuce. And why would I want some kill? And he said, oh, my bad, I thought you was trying to get your head busted. I mean, that ought to tell us something. If it's called killer, if it's kill, if they smoke it, I'm getting my head busted. Hell, who wants their head busted? And who wants to be killed twice? Kill. That don't make sense. It don't make sense. The chemical in the marijuana called THC, when it goes into the brain, it causes brain cells to begin to fight and kill one another. I said, man, that sounds like the supreme wisdom lessons. Why do we run Yakub and his May devil from the root of civilization into the caves of West Asia, as they now call it, Europe, over the hot desert? How long ago? What did he bring with him? What kind of life did he live? And how long before Musa came to teach the devil of the forgotten technology? And the answer was because he started making trouble among the righteous, telling lies, causing brothers to fight. Well, that sounds like what weed is doing. Did not the Savior say that the holy city of Mecca was where wisdom and knowledge of the original man first started when the planet was founded? Well, wisdom and knowledge don't come out of the ground. Wisdom and knowledge grows out of minds. So the real holy city of Mecca is not 9,000 miles away. The real holy city of Mecca is your and my mind. And when we put weed into our brain or any drug, we are allowing the devil into Mecca, causing brain cells to kill and fight one another. That was just a public service announcement for my fellow blunt smokers and for all of those who are trying to be black and mild. You know, just a public service announcement. No, you don't need none of that madness. What we need is the supreme knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Don't you know, brothers and sisters, that the brain is a natural drug manufacturing company? That it has the ability to produce inside of itself all of the necessary drugs that we need? In fact, you know, the enemy, all he does is he looks at the reaction to the brain and the chemicals that are produced when we experience certain things and goes into the laboratory and figures out how he can make an artificial version of it. Is that the truth? And then he gives the body a cheap replica of it, sells it to us for thousands of dollars in a pill form. And whenever we want to be happy, instead of tapping into the power within, we go pop a pill. When we want to go to sleep, pop a pill. Lose weight, pop a pill. Did y'all hear me? But the big difference between what God put in us as a natural drug and what Satan gives us from the outside in is that one is artificial while the other is real. What God made has no side effects. But what the enemy makes has plenty of side effects. Have you ever seen these commercials? Commercial 30 seconds. 7 seconds telling you about how good the drug is. Huh? If you have back pains or sharp pains or headaches, then Cymbalta might be right for you. And then they put that jazz on, have some people jumping through the flowers, and real subtle, real fast. They tell you that if you are alive or possibly could be alive, pregnant or can become pregnant, this Cymbalta may not be right for you. 20 seconds of side effects in 7 seconds. Come on now. So we have the ability to manufacture our own if we were in accord with our right self. All right, that was a public service announcement. So after the enemy, look at the plan. Kill off nearly, look at this, nearly 13 to 15 million on the shores of Africa before we even got here. 100 to 200 million on the Middle Passage, and then another 80 to 100 million when we got here. Most of them mothers and fathers so they could raise the children in a way that they wanted them to be. Y'all with me? Then Napoleon goes to Africa. Not only does he destroy the images of the Sphinx, the images of the messengers and the prophets that look like you and me so that we could have somebody to hold to high esteem, but they also went and noticed that there was a pattern. Wherever you found the image of a great black man, standing right by his side was a great black woman. So they went to work to chisel away at all of the images of the females that were once with the man. So everywhere you seen Osiris, Isis was there. Everywhere you seen Olafun, Eladai was there. Wherever you seen Asa, Aset was right by his side. When you seen the king, you also seen when you seen the god, you seen the goddess. When you seen the prince, you seen the princess. When you seen a great man, you seen a great woman. They know that beside, not behind, beside. Not behind, I said beside. Every great man is a great woman. No, see, real Muslims don't make their women walk 10 paces behind them. No, real Muslims don't pray in no air-conditioned mosque and have their women outside praying in the dirt. Real Muslims don't kidnap little girls from a school and sell them into slavery. Real Muslims know that a nation can rise no higher than its woman. Real Muslims respect and protect their women. Real Muslim men live for their women and children, build for their women and children, fight for their women and children, die for their women and children, and are willing to kill for their daughters and their mothers and their grandmothers and their sisters and their wives. That's what real Muslim men do. I don't know what's going on around the world, but real Muslims don't get down like that. You mess with a real Muslim woman and he'll take you off the face of the earth. We need some strong men. Black men, you got to stop being a punk and loving a paycheck that comes from your woman more than you love dignity and respect for you as a black man. How dare you let your woman go to work and come home and tell you that her white boss touched her when she walked past, or said something disrespectful, or made an indecent proposal, and you tell her, no, baby, look now, we can't go up and we can't stir up nothing. No, you can't, you don't know. No, you got to just be quiet. No, you better show up at the job, get your wife's name tag, and go in there and handle your business in the name of God and dignity and self-respect, and eliminate anybody that disrespects and violates your woman. All praises are due to Allah. If a man messes over a woman, you got the right to kill everything with his name on it. His goldfish, his dog, hell, his drivers, everything can go. So after they took us and broke us down separated all the black images. Now here we are in America, and then look at what they do. Y'all with me, right? They made the black man a stud horse. Take a strong brother from one plantation, a fertile woman from another plantation, no love, no affection, no future together, bring them together, put them in a horse stall, make them mate with one another to produce a nigger child. Is that the truth? Then if a man ever began to love a woman, it was illegal for him to marry her. Did you hear me? That's where this jumping the broom stuff comes from in our weddings. It comes from slavery. Because it was illegal to get married, but it wasn't illegal to clean master's house. So we had a broom with us. So while master wasn't looking, we just went, come on, honey, let's do it. Now we together, let's go. Well, what happens whenever you take a man for 400 years and you not allow him to be a husband to a woman or the father to the child that he's brought into the world? You're making a weak man. And in social science, they have found that if you impose anything on a group of people for 3 generations, then whatever you impose on them by force, they become natural at doing it to themselves after the 3 generations has gone past. And a generation among families is considered a 20-year cycle. So all that the enemy would have had to do was to put us through certain things for 60 years. And after the 60 years of them forcing it on us, we would voluntarily do it to ourselves. Tell me that ain't the truth. Right now, we got plantation psychosis, post-traumatic slave syndrome. We should be getting a disability check or something. But, I mean, we deserve something. At least some handicap tags. I mean, we need something out of this deal. They didn't impose it on us for 60 years. We were in chattel slavery for 400 years. That's 20 generations. Is that right? So everything they forced on us yesterday, we now are voluntarily doing it to ourselves. They killed us because of the color of our skin. Now we kill each other because of the color that we wear. Is that right? It was against the law for a man to marry his woman. Now you almost got to make a law to get the man to marry the woman. Is that right? We had to father children that we weren't going to take care of, and now one of the most damnable diseases in the black community is ADD. Not attention deficit disorder, absent daddy disorder. One of the worst diseases. Yesterday, it was illegal for us to walk on the sidewalk. Now go in any hood and we automatically in the street. Against the law for us to sit at the front of the bus, now we voluntarily go to the back of the bus. Yesterday we were branded, today we are tattooed up. Yesterday we were forced to eat swine flesh. Now today we buy it and cook it. And then at the end of all that, got the nerve to call it soul food. Ain't nothing soul food about no cornbread and no greens and no ham hocks and no chitlins. That's not soul food. Soul is the essence of God deposited in man. You don't feed that with no pork chop. You feed that with principles from God. It's not soul food. It's slave food. That's what we've been eating. All praise is due to Allah. And if any man began to revolt, going against the will, they would take that black man and tie him to 4 sapling trees, cut the ropes all at the same time and split him open. They would take that black man that revolted and nail him to the ground with railroad stakes until he died. They would take a man, bury him underneath the ground with just his head above ground, pour molasses and syrup on his head, and let the ants and the flies eat the man alive. Did you hear me? And the worst of all, they would make the women and the children watch it while it was taking place. If there was a black woman that decided that she wanted to revolt, they would take her and tie her 9 months pregnant to 2 horses, beat them in the opposite direction, and then after the woman was split open, take their no good cowboy boot and crush the fetus. Did you hear me? Take a pregnant black woman and hang her from a room, cut open her stomach, let the baby hang down, and then kill the baby. And make other pregnant women watch it. Why? Because they know that for every thought that you and I think, it produces a chemical reaction. And that chemical reaction mixes in with that blood. So if I make the men, the women, and the children watch the torture of mama and daddy, then that thought of fear becomes a chemical reaction that mixes in with the blood. And children, generation after generation, are programmed in their DNA to have a certain fear of white people and hatred for their own selves. Y'all with me? So then after all of that was done, here we are, we get let loose. And sometime a no good sheriff or a mayor or a politician or just a common white man will come knock on the door and tell the husband, I need to see your wife. Tell the father, send your daughter out. Come on, that's real. And the black man was so afraid of being killed or his family being killed, he would let his wife go off to be raped by a white man. Come on, that's a fact. Or even let his daughter go off to be molested. Come on, that's a fact. I know what you're saying. You're saying, oh, ain't no way in the world. Ain't no way in the world let nothing like that happen. Yeah, but look at how we putting them on the videos. Prove that you got that kind of love. And don't post them up on them videos like that. Something to think about. Then at the end of the day, they created affirmative action designed to hire minorities. Now you go, they have a certain amount of quota of minorities to get. Women are a minority, black people are a minority, black woman double minority. So if I can get 2 with 1 stone, I'll hire a black woman, not allowing the black man to work. Punking the black man. And since it is the nature of the man, so teaches the Holy Quran, to be the maintainer, to be the protector, and to be the provider. Whenever you make a man not able to go into the world and make money to take care of his family, you are weakening his nature. Y'all still with me? So then the next thing you know, she's the breadwinner. Huh? Scripture says Satan will turn us upside down and what? Make a man into a woman and a woman into a man. What's going on in the black community right now? Upside down and inside out. Then if we turn on the television, tell, lie, vision. They're telling a lie to the vision. What is our vision? Our vision is the image of the future. They're telling a lie to the vision. Somehow, some way, have you noticed that it seems like it's almost a Hollywood rites of passage? That anytime you're going to be a great, successful black male in acting, at a certain point, you got to wear a dress. Is that the truth? There is something going on right now called the effeminization of the black men. Again, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said what? The world is in the shape that it's in because there are no strong men. So when you look, you remember Martin, he had to be Shanae, didn't he? Then he became Big Mama. Ving Rhymes, he had to go in drag. Eddie Murphy had to dress up like a woman. Tyler Perry has to be Medea. Chris Tucker, Wesley Snipes, Jamie Foxx, Sean and Marlon Wayans, they wasn't just women, they were white girls. Arsenio Hall had to put on lipstick. Miguel Nunez had to be Joanna Man. Kenan Thompson had to be a woman. Tracy Morgan had to be a woman. Even the $20 million man, Will Smith, to get into acting good, he had to be found kissing a white man in his mouth. Notice the way that they have done what they've done. And you say, well, all that is just television and the music. Yeah, but did you know that there's not nobody on earth that watches more TV than black people? Or listens to more music than black people? The average black person, Jawanza Kunjufu said, listens to 35 hours a week of music and watches 38 hours of television. Y'all didn't hear me. That's why our relationships are so jacked up. Try and listen to these R&B songs thinking that we're going to have a good relationship. These people are lying in these songs. Did you hear me? In fact, the top 10 songs of 2013 on the R&B charts, none of them was about marriage. None of them mentioned God. Well, if there is no marriage and there is no God, you can't even call that a love song. That's a lust song. If it's boyfriend and girlfriend all the time. Is that right? And some of the songs don't even make sense. But we still like them. Our sister Beyonce? I mean, why you on Drunken Love? That don't make sense to me. But we should have known something was wrong, because a few years ago, didn't she say, y'all must not know about me? Y'all must not know about me? She was mad at this man, right? That had been messing her over. And she upset that he'd been abusing her, so she wanted to let him know, you must not know about me. You must not know about me. But what alarmed me is what she said next. I could have another you in a minute. That's bad. Now, if you just saying that just to, show you somebody, I understand. But then she didn't stop there. She said, as a matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute. Well, I don't understand. If you're mad at the man for cheating on you, mad at the man for disrespecting you, mad at this man for lying to you, then why do you want another him and he's coming in a minute? Wouldn't it make sense that you would be looking for a different type of person? Don't make sense. Don't make sense. All praise is due to Allah. They say that the average child, by the time they reach the age 13, because 66% of all television shows have a sex scene, and 90% of all those sex scenes are with non-married couples. In fact, on television right now, there are more homosexual couples than there are male and female married couples. Y'all didn't hear me. That means that by the age of 13, the average child has seen 100,000 sex acts. 90,000 of those sex acts were without the two people being married. 100,000 acts of violence and 8,000 murders. So if somebody's watching 38 hours of television a week, they are being trained by the television. Well, what are we being trained to do? We are trained to become a homosexual or to have sex without marriage. And if there's ever a disagreement, don't talk it out, don't work it out, just kill somebody. That's the way we've been programmed. Then after the end of all of that, then we go to church. The world is in the shape that it's in because there are no strong. Let's see how we became so weak. We seen slavery, don't we? We seen the images on the television, right? Then when we went to church, they introduced us to Jesus, but not a black revolutionary Messiah. They introduced us to a pale-skinned, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, milquetoast, soft Jesus. They introduce us to a love everybody type Jesus. Is that right? But the Bible don't teach that Jesus was this love everybody type dude. The Bible says that when he comes back, he's coming back with a sword dripping with blood. He's coming back at the head of 10,000. Jesus was in no shape, form, or fashion some punk. When he went into the synagogue and seen the money changers hustling the people, he flipped over the tables, snatched the buckets out their hands, chastised the people, didn't he? He was a soldier. He was a warrior. And this is the reason why they don't like Farrakhan. Because young people like Farrakhan. These young soldiers in the streets, you cannot give them some blonde-haired, blue-eyed, 2,000-year-old, milquetoast, sissified Jesus and think that they're going to leave the world to come and join on. That's why in the church is nothing but a bunch of older women and homosexuals. Because real men don't want that madness. Real men want to be right, but they want revolution with their righteousness. Real men want to be spiritual, but they want to stay in the struggle. Real men want the language of God, but we want the liberation of our people. Real men want some faith, but we also want to have the opportunity to fight for ourselves to establish that faith. So when we hear Farrakhan, we hear compassion, love, we hear wisdom, understanding. He is a lamb, but he also is a lion. He is the bravest, most courageous, and the boldest man that ever walked the face of the earth, other than God and his Christ, hands down. Hands down. Do you know that he been in a ring with these damn Jews for 40-some years? When the Jews came after Henry Ford, they knocked him out the ring. When the Jews went after Jesse Jackson, they knocked him out cold. When the Jews went after the Urban League, the NAACP, Snick Car knocked them out cold. When they made their move on the Black Panther Party, eliminated them from the face of the earth. But here we are, the Nation of Islam. Here he is, Louis Farrakhan, undisputed, undefeated, heavyweight servant of God, the champion for our people. They have not been able to break Farrakhan, and they never will. All praises are due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. He is that last man standing. Is that the truth? So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has raised up for us a man among men. He's given us the example of what a man is supposed to look like. And as long as we stay connected to his word and his way, we will become the people we are supposed to become. So today, sisters, we want you to know that before the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, you were looked at as a cheap version of a human being. Is that the truth? Whenever the honorable Elijah Muhammad before him, they called the woman the mother of sin. Didn't they? But it was the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, no, you're not the mother of sin. You are in fact the mother of civilization. Before the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, you were the one that brought birth to the fall of all man. But it was the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that said a nation can rise no higher than its woman. Before the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, you were a product born out of the rib of Adam. But after the honorable Elijah Muhammad came, he said, no, you're not from no rib of Adam. You are in fact the second self of God. You are a direct response, a second part of the supreme being. Now that there is some science to this rib thing. Did you hear me? As a rib is that which protects the lungs and the heart, so it is, woman, your job is to protect the inspiration and the love of a nation. As the rib comes from the side. See, it didn't say woman was created from under the foot of man to be oppressed, or from behind man to be left behind, or from the head of man to be above man, but right from his side. Because it is the job of the woman not to be under man's feet, not to be above a man's head, and not to be walking behind him, but to be right by his side, helping him to bring into existence his goals and visions of life. That's the rib side. All praise is due to Allah. But I don't know about you, but when I first got introduced to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad by a young sister, we were 16 years old. Y'all may not know nothing about laying on the kitchen floor with the phone with the wire on it. Might be a little before your time. Y'all remember the... Had to keep on pulling the wire out, getting tangled up. Well, her father had introduced her to a book called Message to the Black Man and some tapes by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And she got lit. And every time we get on the phone, I'm trying to, well, y'all know. I'm not talking about the teachings. You all right? But she keep on talking to me about this stuff, and then she gave me the book and the tapes and keep asking, have you listened to it? Needless to say, 3 years later, I joined the Nation of Islam, and that sister that brought me into the ranks of Muhammad was none other than my wife that's sitting right here right now, Sister Terry Muhammad. She's the one that recruited me into the Nation of Islam, fished me in. All praise is due to Allah. I came in, she came in 1 month later, and in a few weeks, inshallah, we will be celebrating 20 years of holy matrimony, and I gotta keep it real. It only feel like it's been about 20 minutes. She's my comrade, my ace, my best friend, the love of my life. I thank Allah for her. She didn't just become a good wife, but she introduced me to my father, my teacher, my guide, my nature, my way of life. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. All praises are due to Allah. All praises are due to Allah. I thank Allah for her. I was so fascinated by the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because every other religious teaching, when it talks about God, it tells you to pray to God, praise the Lord, worship God, sing about God. But when I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he was teaching me how God came into existence and how to actually become the God that I was reading about. You didn't hear what I just said. See, if you and I are on earth and our goal is not to become God, then we might as well get off the planet, because we were created according to the Bible in the image and the likeness of God. Image means that we are the exact physical replication of God. Likeness means that we have his nature. If God made man in his image and after his likeness, that means every time he looks at us, he sees himself. Question is, when you look at yourself, do you see him? If God made man in his image and after his likeness, everything that is true about God is also true about you. So when I was studying the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I learned that the woman was the second self of God, created out of the womb that God had within himself. You didn't hear me. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we lived on a planet 24,896 miles in circumference. It has 57,255,000 square miles of land that stick up out of 139,685,000 square miles of water. that it once was a part of the moon and earth were together. And at that time, the circumference was approximately 35,000 miles. But one of our scientists, 66 trillion years ago, drilled a shaft into the earth, filling it with high explosives with the goal of killing himself and everybody on the planet because he couldn't get everybody to speak the same dialect. Did y'all hear me? And when he blew the planet up, part went out there, we call it moon. The rest came here, we call it earth. And when they went to the moon, what did they say when they came back? They said, these rocks smell like gunpowder. Oh yeah, because there was an explosion. And when Louis Armstrong and them went there, look what they said. This is one small step for man, but a giant leap for mankind. Well, what's the difference between the man and the mankind? The man is the original man. It was a small step for us because we had already been there and done that. But mankind, if you invert mankind, it's the kind of a man. The Caucasian is not the man. He is the kind of a man. He is a replica of us. So it was a giant leap for him because he had never been there before. Then 72 trillion years ago, the stars were put out there. 78 trillion years ago, the sun was put out there. But before that, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, we're dealing with the second self of God, that there was nothing in the universe except for three things: material darkness, electricity, and the thought of God. And even to this day, they will tell you that the most mysterious force in nature is electricity. Well, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the thought of God knew how to manipulate the electricity to strike the material darkness at the right place, at the right time, and resurrect one single atom of life. And that one atom of life, even though it was there, it was matter without aim or purpose, so it was considered nothing. But when the electricity struck that atom that had no aim or purpose and gave it of its own power, electricity, it developed something called an electron. And that atom began to spin and revolve in space. And anything that spins or revolves produces two forces, centripetal and centrifugal. Centripetal means that when an object spins, it draws other things to itself. Well, by the law of centripetal force, not from Adam, but from the atom, man began to spin in the triple darkness, bringing other dead atoms to itself, forming molecules. Molecules formed cells. Cells formed organs. Organs formed an organ called brain. Brain brought other organ systems into existence, and then an organism was born, and we call that God, or we call that man. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that when Allah was creating himself, he created his home planet simultaneous with his own creation. You didn't hear me. So while he was forming himself out of the triple darkness, he was making the earth out of the same material. That's why when we die, we say ashes too and dust too, because we are the earth and the earth is us. We are one and the same material. Did you hear me? You can go in the earth and find iron, can't you? But if you taste your blood, you can taste iron in the blood. Is that right? Whenever you look at the earth, there is salt water, truth. Well, when we cry, that's salt water. Don't you know that the vegetation of the earth matches the molecular structure of the flesh of man? If you put a leaf next to the hand, it looks exactly the same. The rock of the earth matches the bone of man. And if you were to lay a globe flat and then put a human body right next to it, the same way lakes and rivers move on the planet, veins and arteries move through the human body. We are from the earth, and the earth is us. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, all praises are due to Allah. All praises are due to Allah. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said that there was 68,634,000 square miles of a Pacific Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean covered 41,321,000 square miles. Is that right? The Indian Ocean covers 29,430,000 square miles. And the lakes and rivers cover what? 1 million square miles. Problem though, when you add it up, it comes up to 140,385,000 square miles. But we just said it was only 139,685 on the earth. Well, where's the other 700,000? Guess what? It's inside of you and me. It's inside of the vegetation. We are the earth. The earth is us. It was the home planet at the same time. All praise is due to Allah. Y'all all right? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you say, I never read this before. Yeah, but you read nature, you can find it. See, the original Bible and Holy Quran was the DNA of the human being. That's why we call Bible and Holy Quran reminders. To remind means to put something back on your mind, which suggests it used to be on the mind. There was a time when we didn't have to pick up a book to read the Word of God. We could read nature and know God. So just as we had material darkness that was majority water, right? Electricity and the thought of God. What happens when you're pregnant, woman? Is it not the darkness of the womb? Right? There's a sperm that goes up the vaginal tract, but the sperm has a head but doesn't have a brain. It has space for intelligence, but it doesn't have any of its own intelligence. Did you hear me? 1 out of 300 million find that one egg within 12 to 24 hours and perform what you will call a miracle or an act of God. What if the sperm has a head and it is able to accomplish something that is humanly impossible, find the egg to bring us into existence? That means that the child coming into the world is an act not of mama or daddy, but it is an act of God. So the Bible says that I knew you before you were in the womb of your mother. And I formed you in your womb. He said in the Quran that I, Allah, created you in the womb of your mother. If Allah knew us before we were in the womb of our mother, He already had the perfect version of us formed in His mind. And He used the mother as the laboratory or the environment, and the father as the seed to bring birth to His will. So there are no accidents. Did you hear me? There are no accidents. If you're here, you're supposed to be here. God said so. But ain't it something that you had thought, electricity, and an atom in the material darkness, and in the woman you've got the womb that is darkness with mostly water, and the egg which is round like an atom, right? The thought guided the electricity to find this round object called atom to bring birth to a human being. Likewise, the sperm is like electricity, guided by the thought of God, going through triple darkness, not to find the atom, but to find that egg. And when they strike, they say an explosion takes place. And in 9 months, you were able to do what it took the originator trillions of years to do. How great of a vessel are you, black woman? Something to think about. All praise is due to Allah. So at the conclusion of the message, brothers and sisters, when Allah, God, created Himself, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave a description of certain characteristics that He had, and then He gave description of certain characteristics that His woman had. Because when He created Himself, somebody asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad one time, they said, how long has the black woman been in existence? And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad answered, there never was a time whenever the man was without his woman. He said, well, what about like when the moon came into existence and so forth? He said, there never was a time whenever the man was without his woman. You didn't come from the rib of Adam. You are the second self of God. Allah, the originator, formed Himself, studied Himself, and found in Himself a second self, and brought forth out of the womb of Himself His second self. That's why the male, when you look at the male scientifically, we got the X and Y chromosome, male and female, while the female just has the 2 X's. You came from the male, the originator of the heavens and the earth. Did y'all hear me? So she's a part of us, brother. She is connected to us. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said like this: when you teach a man, you teach an individual. But when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. Guess what else? When you beat a man, you beat an individual. But when you beat this woman, you have beat a whole nation. When you abuse a man, you abuse an individual. But when you abuse a woman, you abuse a whole nation. There's nothing we do to her that doesn't have some direct effect on how it's going to affect us. So we can't do something to us or her and not do something to us at the same time. That's the mathematics. This originator of the heavens and the earth, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that he went to war with the darkness. I say he went to what? War. So the first verb in existence was war. So a real man, you got to be a warrior if you're going to be a real man. Did y'all hear me? They said that the Lord of the worlds, he worked for trillions of years. It took him eons and eons of time, so he had to have patience. Is that right? He had to be hardworking, organized. What you think? And in fact, if he created his whole planet simultaneously and brought forth from himself his second self, then it's no wonder it's natural for men to want to be a giver of gifts. Huh? Don't we like putting diamonds on our hand? Well, where do diamonds come from? Gold? Flowers? Why? Because the originator of the heavens and the earth didn't give just a diamond ring. He gave a whole planet to his woman. That's how much he loved her. All praises are due to Allah. Now, sisters, what we also find in this is, according to the scripture from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I know what I said, teaching scripture, you same thing. If it took him eons and eons of time to form everything in existence, and his woman was there with him, that means that his woman was working with him in the beginning in a very dark, damp environment. And we don't have no record of her complaining. I said we don't have no record of the second self of God complaining. She believed in her man. She knew that this is just temporary, but he gonna keep working and we getting ready to have some one day. Question is, can you be like that as a second self to this man? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he gave us a description of what this second self looked like. Y'all all right? It's Mother's Day, let's talk. He said whenever Allah created from himself his second self, he created her to fulfill certain needs. Number one, he needed something to look at that was kind to the eye. Did y'all hear me? That means that you got to take care of yourself as a woman. You got to look out for yourself. You can't be pretty to get him and be ugly and think he's going to stay. Whatever you do to get a thing, you got to do to keep it. Is that right? See, that's some of our problem. We do a lot to get into the relationship, but don't do enough to stay in it. When you first was courting her, you were real patient on the phone, biting your tongue all the time, huh? Real respectful, got the door every time, getting in and out. Is that right? Whatever she thought of and said she wanted, you would get for. And sisters, you was the same way. You go to a restaurant, you were real considerate. You'll be on the phone looking in the mirror trying to get yourself together and he can't even see you. You go out to dinner and before you marry, right? I'll just have a salad and a water with lemon, please. Huh? And then you wouldn't even eat the whole salad. You'd be, I'm full. Everything he said you was laughing at, giggling at. Is that right? 6 months later, now you're married. Same restaurant, you done ordered everything. Huh? Knocking it down, you got ranch dressing coming off the side of your mouth. No, I know. You want to know he gonna finish his? You used to try to get yourself pretty while you were on the phone. Now he come home and you ain't never together. No, you got to look out for yourself. Number 2, he said that he needed someone to comfort him and console him while he was at war with the triple darkness. Let me say something to you, sisters. Know this, that this is the white man's world. And we live in a world that is diametrically opposed to the black male rising and the black male being progressive and the black man being successful and the black man being a man. So when we go out into the world, it's not just going to work, we are going to war. And when we go out into this world trying to make a living, we're going to come home with some contusions and some abrasions and some cuts and some lacerations and some injuries. But we need your black woman to be patient, be a nurse, be a doctor, find out what food you can put in our mouth, a good word you can put in our ear, that we can wake up in the morning for prayer and go back to work to conquer the known world for you and for our God. All praises are due to Allah. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that the qualities of a great woman are this: she loves deeply and unselfishly. She serves with joy. She feels good as a sweetheart. She likes being a good wife. I said she likes being a good wife, a good mother, a good grandmother, a good companion to her husband. And over and above all qualities of a woman, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said the greatest quality of a woman is that she is full of love. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not jealous, love is not proud, love is not rude, love is not irritable, love keeps no record of wrong, love doesn't rejoice about injustice but when truth wins. Love never gives up, love never loses faith, love is always hopeful and endures through every circumstance. That's the post of a man. That's the post of a woman. And all general orders are in full effect. We cannot run from this post, hide from this post, or duck out from duty. We got to take charge of this post and all temple property in view. We got to walk this post as a Muslim, as a man, as an MGT, and as a woman, as a husband, as a father, as a wife, as a mother. We got to walk this post not in a sloppy manner, not in a good manner, but in a perfect manner, keeping always on the alert. And after we receive this truth, this power, it's our job to obey it. Pass it on. Is that right? To the sentinels that's coming to do what? Relieve us. All temple property in view, right? Are all orders we are commanded to instruct, right? From the officer of the day? No, let me go back. To receive, obey, and pass on to the sentinel who relieves me all orders from the who? Commanding officer. That's the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the officer of the day. Have you not heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say he sits in the seat of? He is the officer of the day. And the non-commissioned officers of the guard only, that's anybody else trying to do the will of the officer of the day. And if we receive this truth, obey this truth, and pass it on to our brothers and sisters out there in the world, they will become the sentinels, the soldiers, the new FOI, the new MGT, the new brothers and sisters that will relieve us of all temple property in view. Thank you for listening. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you so much.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. Oh, brothers and sisters, put our hands together again for Student Minister Nuri Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah.
Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. Please be seated. All praise is due to Allah. It's so good to see so many beautiful sisters and brothers are striving to become beautiful sisters and brothers. So good to see you. Brothers and sisters, how many of you believe that what you heard today is true and is good for our people? Can we see your hand? All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Now, out of those of you that are here that believe what you heard is true and good for our people, how many of you are here today and this is your first time ever being at Muhammad's Mosque? Can we see your hand? Your first time being here. First time, first time. Beautiful, beautiful. All praises are due to Allah. Well, brothers and sisters that are here for your first time to believe it's true and good for your people, I want to ask you to take a bold step if you feel confident to do so. Out of those of you that are here for your first time, that believe it's true, believe it's good for your people, how many of you are willing to join on with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and this Nation of Islam in the effort to unite our people once and for all? Let me see your hand. Allahu Akbar. All praises are due to Allah. All praises are due to Allah. Well, brothers and sisters, if you want to join on with this beautiful, great man to help him in the work of the resurrection of our people and the making of us a new and perfect people, we want to see, if you would, sisters, come on down. I'd like to have the honor of shaking your hand. Brothers, come on down to the center. I'd like to have the honor of shaking your hand. Nothing special about my hand, but here's something special about the man's hand that we represent today. Come on down front, sisters and brothers. If you want to take this big step to join on with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam,
those who desire to be a part of the Nation of Islam, come on down the center aisle at this time. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. We thank Allah for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All praise is due to Allah. Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. We are so grateful and thankful for your presence today, beloved brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining us, those via webcast. What a wonderful message this morning. Yes, ma'am. What a wonderful, wonderful message.
Let's put our hands together for Student Minister Nuri Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. All praise is due to Allah. We thank you. Thank you for the wonderful message. Thank you for the wonderful representation of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we pray that Allah will continue to bless you with the anointing of His Spirit and the strength and confidence to deliver this word. He goes all throughout the country representing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with the same strength and the same passion and the same spirit that you heard from him today. Let's give it up one more time for Minister Nuri Muhammad. And we also... Wait. Now, he said that he wouldn't even be in the Nation of Islam if it wasn't for that beautiful sister 20 years ago that invited him to the Nation of Islam and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Sister Terry Muhammad, please, please, please. We want you to know how much we love you, how much we appreciate you. We know that there's much of a sacrifice that you made for Student Minister Nuri Muhammad to do the work that he's doing, and we want you to know how much we love and appreciate you. We want to give, wait. We don't have you all the time, so we just gonna make the best of this moment. We want to give a token of our love and appreciation to all of the sisters who are here today, and we want to start by just giving a bouquet of flowers on our behalf to Sister Terry Muhammad, presented to her by our national MGT captain, Sister Sandy Muhammad, in the MGT. Yes. And we'll be at Salam Restaurant after prayer is said. So those of you who would like to meet and greet Student Minister Nuri Muhammad will be at Salam Restaurant. All right? Thank you again, Minister Nuri. Thank you, Sister Terry. Very quickly, yesterday, some of you may have heard, and you certainly, if you weren't there, you missed a powerful, powerful session, a testimony of 4 wonderful sisters and helpers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, his cook, Sister Mary Alice Muhammad, our national spokesperson, Student Minister Ava Muhammad, Sister Aisha Muhammad, and his daughter, Sister Fatima Muhammad. They gave a powerful testimony of their witness of the man of God in our midst. And it was all made possible by Brother Rashad Muhammad. And I just want us to put our hands together and thank Brother Rashad Muhammad for making yesterday possible. And we're going to try and get this up on the internet because you need to know more about the beauty of this man. And we have in the Quran the beauty of Allah's word, the unequaled guidance that that word offers and gives to us. But we wouldn't have that word if it were not for a man. And the beauty of that word is made possible because of the beauty of the heart and the soul and the mind of the man. And so the character of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is unequal. And the heart of Brother Farrakhan is unequal. He's a matchless human being on our planet. And we thank Allah again for him and ask Allah to continue to bless him and give him strength to continue his great work. And before we close, I want to thank Brother Jesse Muhammad again. Brother Jesse, please come on out. The architect of the Twitter army and making it possible for Minister Farrakhan to be on Twitter. Let's give Brother Jesse Muhammad a warm round of applause and thanking you for your work and your sacrifice. He tweeted the event yesterday in real time. And we also want to thank our student minister from New Orleans, Mosque number 46, Brother Student Minister Willie Muhammad. Where's Brother Willie? Thank you for yesterday and today and for tomorrow. May Allah continue to bless you. So, we want to close with, yes sir, absolutely. It is part of our principle as the righteous to give something in the cause of truth. So I want to ask everyone to reach down into your heart and give something that will help us to continue our work to further the efforts that are being made to liberate our people. We appreciate and thank you in advance for whatever you are able to give. If it is as small as a penny or as large as $100 bill or more, we thank you so very much for your generosity and for helping us in the cause of Allah and the liberation of our people. Since we're still on webcast, I want to remind all of the registered believers, inshallah, on Tuesday, we will have a national believers meeting, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will be with us, Allah willing, live and in living color. And we look forward to hearing from our beloved minister this Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Yes, sir? Yes, of course. So with that, we're going to close with prayer. We have 2 local announcements to make, and we want all of our sisters. We've got just a rose that we'd like to give to you on the occasion of Mother's Day, and if you would bear with us patiently as we would like to give that to you. It's just a token of our love and appreciation for you. Will you do that for us? Thank you. No, thank you. All right, let's close with prayer. Please assume the position that you are most comfortable in as we thank Allah for His many blessings, and we thank Him for this day and our gathering here. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we worship, and Thee alone do we beseech for help. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom You have bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom Your wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. Say He, Allah is one. Allah is He on whom we all depend. He begets not, nor is He begotten, and there is none like Him. Ameen. Thank you. If you will take your seats, please. Please take your seats very quickly. We want to extend our heartfelt condolences to the family of Sister Janice A. Muhammad, who is a cherished